Drishti IAS is pleased to revise its special program Mastering Mains Answer Writing, targeting answer writing in UPSC and State Services Main Examination. We will be alternatively covering GS papers 1, 2, and 3 through this program. For GS 4, please watch our program Ethics, Definitions, and Concepts. The link for it is mentioned in the description below. So what is the structure of the program? We begin by looking at a question, then narrow it down to the syllabus and assess the weightage of the topic. Then we learn on how to approach the question, structure the answer, and then write the actual answer. We finally conclude the episode by looking at questions asked in the previous year examinations. Let us look at the question which we will be discussing today. Success of the institutions of local self-governance depends largely on the attitude of state government. Discussed in the context of constitutional provisions and the recent experience of the working of these institutions in India. The question can be narrowed down to the topic governance that is part of GS paper 2. The importance of this topic over the years can be assessed from the graph that has been displayed. Now we shift towards how to approach the question. In general, there are two things we must understand with respect to a question. A, the underlying theme of the question, and B, what is or are being asked about that theme. Now let us look at the question again. The success of the institutions of local self-governance depends largely on the attitude of state governments. Discussed in the context of constitutional provisions and the recent experience of working of these institutions in India. The underlying theme of this question is local self-governance. About this theme, we must discuss the constitutional provisions and the recent experience of the working of local self-governance institutions in India. To answer the given question, let us first understand the meaning of the command word discuss. Discuss simply means to cover broadly, mentioning strengths, weaknesses, and positives and negatives. Mention causes and consequences as well. Now let us focus on how to structure the answer. The first part of the answer will be an introduction, which will include a brief explanation of the term local self-governance. The second part of the answer, that is the body, will have two subparts. Role of the state governments in success of institutions of local self-governance and the recent experiences of Panchayati Raj institutions. Lastly, in our conclusion, we suggest measures to strengthen institutions of local self-governance. Now we try to write the actual answer. But before we commence, we would like to make it very clear that the answer provided here is a representative answer. That is how the actual answer may look like. The answer can be adapted or modified as per your own natural style of writing, whether paragraph form or short sentences or bullets or diagrams. We have also taken certain liberties with the word limit by including certain additional information in the answer for your comprehensive understanding. So without much ado, let us write the answer. The term local self-governance implies management of local affairs by such local bodies which have been elected by the local people. It is carried out by the Panchayati Raj institutions. PRIs has been given constitutional sanctity through the 73rd Constitutional Act of 1992. The purpose is to reinvent the concept of development through a bottom-top approach with people's participation. Though 73rd Constitutional Act envisages a broad framework of Panchayati Raj institutions, the execution of various provisions of the Act has been left to the state governments, which have devolved powers to PRIs on the basis of their peculiar socio-political structures. Now we shift focus on the role of state governments in the success of institutions of local self-governance. There is a continuous interaction between the state government and the PRI, which is done in the following manner. State legislature acts determine the territorial jurisdiction of PRIs, their composition and electoral procedures, their functions, method of settlement of disputes in the PRIs. Administratively, the state government can review, modify, or reject the proposals put forth by the PRIs, remove their members under certain circumstances through prescribed procedures, conduct periodic inspections, etc. The 73rd Act governing the PR bodies in a state determines to a great extent the sources of their revenue in terms of taxes, fees, loans, and grants. All plans and schemes prepared by the PR bodies have to be technically approved by the state government. Thus, a lot depends on the attitude of state governments, the way they allocate resources to institutions of local self-governance. Moving on to the recent experiences of Panchayati Raj institutions. The positive experiences that have occurred recently include PRI institutions created a third layer of government which ensured political representation at the grassroots level. At 1.4 million, India has the most women in elected positions. Seats and Sarpanch Pradhan positions were also reserved for SC/ST candidates. The negative experiences include PRIs could not govern unless they are given the authority to perform functions related to governance by state legislatures. PRIs have been devoid of finances, which stymied their true potential in realizing the development at grassroots level. The 73rd Constitutional Amendment created provisions for state finance commissions to recommend the revenue share between state and local governments. However, these are merely recommendations and the state governments are not bound by them. Lastly, looking at the conclusion, we could suggest the following measures to strengthen institutions of local self-governance. The sixth report of the second ARC, titled Local Governance: An Inspiring Journey into the Future, recommended that there should be a clear demarcation of each tier of government. In Karnataka, the panchayats have separate bureaucratic cadres, independent of state government officials. This move has strengthened panchayats and brought efficiency in local administration. Such an experiment should be given a try in other states also. The centre needs to reinvigorate PRIs by incentivizing financially through innovative practices such as listing of bonds in the market. Local representatives act as direct interface with people and hence they should be trained to develop expertise in planning and implementation of policies and programs. Now we'll look at the questions asked in the previous year examinations. In 2020, the following questions were asked. How far do you think cooperation, competition, and confrontation have shaped the nature of federation in India? Cite some recent examples to validate your answer. 2. The strength sustenance of local institutions in India has shifted from their formative phase of functions, functionaries, and funds to the contemporary stage of functionality. Highlight the critical challenges faced by local institutions in terms of their functionality in recent times. In 2019, the following question was asked. The reservation of seats for women in the institutions of local self-government has had a limited impact on the patriarchal character of the Indian political process. In 2016, the following question was asked. Effectiveness of the government system at various levels and people's participation in the governance system are interdependent. Discuss their relationship in the context of India. And lastly, in 2013, the following question was asked. The basis of providing urban amenities in rural areas is rooted in establishing connectivity. Comment. With this, we conclude today's episode of Mastering Mains Answer Writing. Until next time, stay safe and thank you. To watch our videos in Hindi, subscribe to our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS.